What is going on, Clippers fans? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 48 of Clips and Dip, your favorite Clippers podcast, hopefully. I am Chuck Mockler, joined by Adam Osland and William Updike. Got an awesome show for you today. Thanks to all the new listeners. The Clippers have been playing well, which means we get new listeners, so welcome to y'all. Welcome to everyone who subscribed to the YouTube over at youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. If you want to watch us do the pod, you can watch us do it over there. We're going to talk a couple of all-stars on the Clippers, a coach of the month on the Clippers, the rest of the Grammy trip, Dave Pingalore dropping a bomb, who has dropped bombs about Kawhi Leonard before. But before we get into that, it's a rainy day in LA. Adam Osland, Will Updike, how are you doing? Adam, let's start with you.
I'm good. Clippers have won 28 of 36. I mean, what else matters? They rained some threes down on the Wizards last night, too. Got back on track in that area, so I'm good with it.
Feeling good. Will, are you cozied up? You had to go on a journey to pay your rent into Hollywood. How are you?
Yeah. The method in which I pay my rent and where it actually goes is a conversation for another time. There's a lot of ins and outs with that. But
it's not like Kingpin.
It's close.
No. It's pretty damn close. But I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It was bizarre, like how fast the turnaround from rain was.
Yeah, I was told we were
crazy.
Getting 1,000-year storm. I was asked about that, and so people asked me what I was going to do, and I said I was going to die, because if it was 1,000-year storm, I'd assume I'd be dead.
Build the ark.
It's 1,000 years long?
Something like that. I don't know. Let's get into the most fun news of the day, right? The biggest news for Clippers fans. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are all-stars. Hell yeah. Way to go.
Did you guys think that we would get two?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
these were shoo-ins.
I mean, unbiasedly, though.
No, for sure. So. Yeah. If you looked at all the projections, it was obvious, of course, Kawhi was going to make it. And pretty much everybody had Paul George in, too.
And they've also, again, they've been available, right? It's like this is like the one thing that they're going to do to be like, yeah, thanks for playing enough games, guys. But hell yeah, I hope they don't play very much, to be honest, in the game itself. Right?
Yeah, maybe PG doesn't go at all. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Man, that would be funny if he sat out.
I mean, we've seen this before when guys are dinged up and they're dealing with an injury and they put them in for like a minute just to get a little bit of run and say they were there, they were all-stars, they were featured in the game. And
it's the same like scoring rules this time.
I think we're back to normal. East versus West is back. So the Elam rule is gone. No more quarters. Okay. I'm guessing.
They give no quarters?
Well played. Well played, Updike. That was great. That was fantastic for Kawhi and BG. Ty Lue also named Western Conference Coach of the Month. Hell yeah. First time a Clippers coach has ever won it in back-to-back months.
Who was Player of the Month?
Devin Booker.
Interesting.
Wasn't he? Or no, he was Player of the Week. Who was Player of the Month?
Has that been released?
Yeah. Devin Booker was.
What, he averaged 35?
Lame. He averaged 30, 4, and 6. They went 11 and 5, which is not as good.
No, it's not.
11 and 3, some would say.
It adds to the level of disrespect going on. I know we'll get into it in a little bit here, but I'm getting irked, boys.
You're pissed off. I'm happy for Ty Lue, and I have the question on the rundown, which, Adam, I see you're on. I always appreciate that.
Is Will on it?
No, he's not. Are we comfortable calling this?
I'm on my second computer over here, dude. I got
on your second computer.
What's the thing from Swordfish?
He's got to make the cube on all the screens of computers.
Yeah, the Octa.
He has to hack while getting
He's got to make a worm. That's what he's got to make. Is this the best regular season Clippers team of all time, or just the best Clippers team of all time?
I said like a month and a half ago, this is the best regular season stretch of all time. I mean, it's the best they've ever played consistently in a regular season. This record that they have, but also the high-level victories and the dominance, where I think Kawhi has not had to play in 10 fourth quarters so far this season.
I didn't know it was that many. That's crazy.
I think they still lead in most 20-point wins this year.
Which also, I think, the Clippers are a horrible garbage time team, so it should be more 20-point wins.
Well, maybe it's
probably
amount of times you're up by at least 20 in a ball game, not
Yeah.
necessarily where the final score is. So
Yeah,
it should be final score, because I feel like with the point fluctuations, like 20, unless it's ending on 20 minutes or 20 points doesn't mean that much to me.
Damn,
in
Will
a
wants
game?
more. Will wants more from this Clippers team. I will respect that. Yeah, and like I also think what plays into it too is they're doing everything they said in the offseason. Everyone was, I don't know if skeptical is the right word. I think that has a heavier negative weight than kind of the word that I mean. But I think you know what I mean. We were like, we're going to believe it when we see it. We've heard this before. We've bought in before and not necessarily been burned, but it hasn't gone how we wanted it to. And this year it's actually going like we want it to.
And it starts with the availability, I think, going back to training camp, being able to go 2-a-days with Kawhi and Paul George. And so a lot of this is just dependent on good fortune, some good luck finally being in their favor to a degree. They've still had some injuries. It sounds like Big Zoo's turning a corner.
Yeah.
He's with the team right now, and Coach Lou was asked about if he'll be available on this road trip. And it's like, whoa, nobody anticipated that. We were all talking about, post All-Star break. Yeah, probably then he'll be back. But Paul George dinged up too. But overall, you combine that with the addition of James Harden and the level of intensity and urgency they've been playing with, and they have met the expectations of taking the regular season more seriously.
I'm wondering, do you want Zoo to come back before the All-Star break? If we're playing well, I'm kind of like, let's maybe take a little bit of time into this All-Star break.
Could they take it more seriously, though?
Could they all be playing in glasses?
Maybe a monocle. I don't know. I'm not trying to get down on him. I'm trying to light a fire under the Clippers.
If he can't worsen the injury, if that's how they assess it, then I'd be fine with him coming back, because it's still about trying to get a top 3 seed in the West, and things are that close where it could come down to a game or two by the end of the season. And it could fluctuate from being, the 1st seed to the 3rd seed by a game or two. It could be that tight at the top of the West.
Do you know off top who has tiebreakers above us? I would guess Minnesota and OKC.
So they're 1-1 against OKC, right? They've only played Minnesota once. They lost to them. And they're 1-2 against Denver so far, with one more to go. And that extra game against Denver came out of the in-season tournament.
That's right.
Yeah, so maybe good fortune there. At the time, we're like, oh, great, they have to play Denver again because of this. But actually, they have a chance, and it's at home for the Clippers, to tie the regular season series against them.
An iconic well, actually, for the podcast.
I love a good well, actually. Yeah, this is terrifying. We kind of talked about it a couple weeks ago about how the top 4 was going to start to become kind of a death struggle, and it has become exactly that. All the teams are pretty separating themselves a fair amount from the Kings, who are 6 games behind in the 5 seed, and just 1 through 4 is crazy right now.
Yeah, I should say the separation between 1 through 4 could be that tight, not just 1 through 3. But for the sake of the argument or the discussion that we've had over the years of being a top 3 seed and the importance of that, You want to win as many as you can right now without pushing things too far. And I was happy to see that Paul George got the night off against the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, road trip's going pretty good so far. That Wizards game was another one where Kawhi didn't have to play in the 4th. PG's not on the injury report for the game against the Pistons. Will, do you think he'll end up back on it, as has been the case the last couple of games?
Man, with this recent Embiid stuff where it was clear he wasn't right, and that he was pushing to play, and he thought the injury was manageable, and a trainer can only do as much as an athlete tells them. I don't know. My answer, I guess, is it depends, and I know that's not a great answer, but I just don't see any reason to push it right now. I know things are tight, but I do think we can make up some ground, and I mean it would just be way more devastating to have a longer stretch without PG, especially with March around the corner. So It depends. I guess I don't have a better answer than that, but I do worry that, the players push it. And I'm worried that Paul George already did try to push it. So we'll see.
To me, we already know he can re-aggravate it, right? Because that's what happened against the Brooklyn Nets. This was an injury he had back in early December. He started to play. He was fine. He looked good. He looked great, actually. He kind of turned things around after a little bit of a dip. And then he re-aggravated it. So I wouldn't push things against a Pistons team that is the worst team in the league. And you just saw what you're capable of.
They are. That's not
how many games did they lose in a row? 30?
Dude, hold on. When I was doing the rundown, I put like the records in at some point in the second segment. We talk about the next games, but typing out 6-41. I was like, what? That is their record? That I feel so, and I mean this sincerely. I cannot imagine being a Pistons fan right now. I've never typed out 6-41 and never will again. That's an incredible win-loss record.
They lost 28 in a row.
Yeah.
This is an all-time bad team.
I think PG should rest. I think PG should rest this game. I'm just sit him. It's fine. It should be fine. It looked a little, I don't know if dicey is the right word against the Wizards, but the defense took a second to lock in against the Wizards, which
and it kind of slopped up. I felt like in that third quarter until they just really kind of put that one away.
I wanted to give a shout out to Adam for his man on fire Photoshop of Kawhi Leonard on Twitter. Let me actually pull that up. That was really funny. Did the defense, I mean, I guess I want them to see it more locked in against, the Pistons and stuff like that.
This stuff happens when you know you're that good offensively, when you know you're playing a team like the Washington Wizards. They were only in front of the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference standings going into that game. There's going to be a letdown sometimes. I don't know. The Boston Celtics are playing down to the Lakers currently. These things do happen in the league. The important thing is they more than doubled the Wizards' point output in that third quarter. Wasn't it 40-19?
Yeah.
The Clippers were unbelievable there. And Kawhi, man on fire, he had 14 of his 31 points in that third quarter, and it's just making it look so easy. He's toying with everyone right now. It's a joke.
I was doing some looking because sometimes you want to know what odds are. Kawhi Leonard is not in the top 10 for MVP on BetMGM's odds. Luka is third, which blows my mind because the Mavs are eighth. And I don't think anyone on an 8th seed team should be in the MVP convo usually. What does Kawhi have to do? He's playing. The Clippers are playing well. They just had 2 great months. He's played almost every game. He's destroying on both ends.
He has to get Will and I to get upset for him because Kawhi certainly doesn't care about this award. And we will be, as we were last night on Clippers Talk with little clips and dip. Will and I went off about this, and it is perplexing. That's unbelievable because, again, just like with him not being a Western Conference starter in the All-Star game, we're talking about a top 75 player ever, a well-known commodity, if you want to put it, one of the greatest players of his generation. Yes, he's been injury prone, but when he's out there, everybody knows what he's capable of, and he's currently having the best regular season of his career. And part of the reason, as Will and I were going back and forth and getting each other worked up about this and what an injustice it is that Kawhi Leonard isn't in MVP conversations and he wasn't a starter in the Western Conference. When you're not a starter in the Western Conference All-Star game, that has a bigger effect on just overall national narrative of if you should be in the MVP conversation. If you're not even a Western Conference starter in the All-Star game, why would you be talking about that guy being the MVP? Because it would only make sense that somebody in the MVP conversation also is starting in the All-Star game. So these things do matter. Now, they don't to Kawhi, and ultimately this Clippers season is about winning a championship. But it's a little bit of a talking point right now, and it just shows how loaded the NBA is with casuals. I'm sorry, but either you realize Kawhi Leonard, either you realize Kawhi Leonard should be in the conversation for MVP, or you're a casual. Either you realize that he's had a better season overall than Kevin Durant and LeBron James, or you're a casual. I'm sorry. It's not about us, covering the Clippers. This is obvious. And it should be obvious to everyone who's been paying attention at all.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I actually was listening to Windhorse and the Hoop Collective before I came on here. And that is the first whisper that I've even heard of Kawhi being in the MVP conversation. And we'll see how the games played thing ends up working out, because
which we're going to talk about later.
Is obviously out of it. But I know that Kawhi probably, I mean, I know that he doesn't care about being an all-star starter. Probably honestly does not care about a regular season MVP award either. But Adam brought up an interesting point about guys' legacies yesterday. And I think if you look at things, I mean, even 10 years from now, if someone's trying to, like, you know, do a comparison of who were like some of the best players of their eras, that's going to be one of the things that they look at. And, you know, I fear that if some of what Kawhi is doing right now is getting lost right now, like, what is the future legacy of that? Because he is, I don't know, man. He's just having an incredible season. He's a top 2 player in the league right now. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the guy's got to do.
It is called the 2024 NBA All-Star Game, not the what have you done over the past 10 years, and we'll factor all that stuff into All-Star Game. It's about what is happening currently in this season. That's what should matter. Same with the MVP. It shouldn't be about Kawhi missing games in his past when he's only missed 4 so far this season. So put him in the conversation. Until he's missing enough games to not be in it, with the numbers he's putting up, last 26 games, 57% from the field, 49% from the outside. We're talking about not just one of the best runs this season efficiency-wise, and that's what baffles me. We're in an era of advanced stats, analytics, and all these things. I mean, Marc Gasol, the reason he won the Defensive Player of the Year back in 2013 was because of defensive rating stuff. The advanced analytics is what gave it to him. We're in 2024, and we're not looking at that stuff for Kawhi Leonard, for a team that's 10
too.
Yeah, a team that's 10 points worse defensively when he's not on the floor. That stuff needs to be factored in. It needs to matter. And I just get annoyed with stuff, you know, when it's based off merit. You know, it wouldn't matter to me if Kawhi Leonard, and he was always one of my favorite players before he became a Clipper, but these type of slights and snubs always get me going. When it's this obvious and staring you in the face, a top 75 player ever playing this well, is it because he's been beat down so much by the negative press and the media and the guys like Stephen A. Smith saying he should retire, and that has had an effect on voters, on fans, on other players even? Because that's gross if that's the case.
I don't think it's players. I think fans 100%. I think players know that Kawhi is the man. I think, but the media, you're totally right. I think that narrative is brutal for Kawhi. And there's going to be, you know, in like 5 years, whenever Kawhi retires, there's going to be so many montages of like, can you believe this is how they used to talk about Kawhi? And it's going to be clips of that mashed together. And everyone's going to go, wow, we were really stupid back then.
Well, in the same way, like what Will was talking about, in 50 years from now, you'll look back on this season, who were the best players? And you'll probably gauge it off of things like All-Star, where they ended up in MVP voting. Just like how people say, well, you know, Kevin Durant right now can't beat the narrative of, yes, he won a championship and he won 2 of them, but they came with the Golden State Warriors and they won 73 games before he came there. They won before him. But over time, that'll get lost in history, and it'll just show that he was a champion. And that's all that's going to matter 50 years from now.
They're not giving
the other side of that
for those Kevin Durant Kevin Durant finals wins. So
he's not going to be alive 100 years from now to have a burner on Twitter, or maybe a burner bot.
He might be alive.
That will live forever.
He might be alive in 100 years.
Just going Ted Williams.
Some of these advancements,
he's super rich.
Technology,
he's super rich.
Who knows? Who knows? He's going to try to be 19 again.
Yeah. I just don't want this Kawhi season to get lost on people, because it seems like it's crazy.
Well, you know what won't.
Kawhi has become underrated in a year like this.
Well, you know what won't. I mean, he's poised for another season, like another run like he had in Toronto. I mean, finals MVP, a third finals MVP. I mean, that's got to put Kawhi somewhere in the conversation of all time.
Of course. And that's the biggest thing. It would just be like him and LeBron as lead guys winning a championship with 3 different teams at that point. Being at their peak and being the number one options on their team, pulling off something like that. But I just want to make sure, we get ahead of this now and make sure he's getting enough attention now for what he's been doing with this Clippers team. And it's not getting lost in the shuffle of an 82 game season that Kawhi Leonard maybe is the best player in the world right now. And he's not even top 10 in MVP voting or top 10 in at least when it comes to betting lines.
Well, the new poll is coming out, right? He has to be top 10.
I hope he's top 10. Should we have him on to plead his case?
Yeah.
Do you think he'd come on the pod?
Yeah. You blink twice if
it'd be low key.
You feel like you're being overlooked here, Kawhi.
It'd be low key.
But that is the best part. He doesn't care. He wants the Larry OB. He wants the finals MVP, maybe. He still wouldn't care. He just wants to win the damn championship.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay for us to stick up for him and bring some positive attention towards the Clippers and just how well he's playing.
Absolutely. Coming up, we're going to talk the rest of the Grammy trip. I'm wondering, we're going to talk the Brandon Boston Jr. thing over Bones thing too, because that was interesting in the Wizards game. The ads have been loud for some people who listen to this on audio. If you're watching on video, you probably get one very weird ad in the beginning for something that we don't know what it is for. Rest of the Grammy trip outlook coming up, and then maybe LeBron getting traded talk, because why not? Ads in 3, 2, 1.
All right, we're back in with Clips and Dip. We're going to talk about the rest of the Grammy trip. Clippers got an easy one coming up on Friday, and then taking on the Heat and the Hawks. So let's get into it. Where do you guys want to start with this Pistons matchup?
I think we should start with the question is, what will you do if the Clippers lose to the Pistons?
Oof. I mean, I guess dry January is over.
So you think everyone's just get wasted? You
I might tie one on.
Just tie one on. I don't know. I know this sounds. I mean, it depends on how it happens. If they just gave up and decided to played and just with pissy attitudes or something, I'd be upset. But if the Pistons shoot 65% from 3, I'd be like, oh, pretty cool, I guess. Good for the Pistons.
They were due. They got up for the ball game.
If there's one team that's due for a big win,
they beat OKC recently.
Well,
it can happen.
Oh yeah, in this league, it can definitely happen.
I don't think it will, but it could.
Probably no Paul George is what we all hope for.
It depends.
I'm hoping for it. I don't care. I don't care if he's healthy. Just sit him this one. We don't need it all the way. Amir Coffey started in his place and was fantastic. Right?
Amir's a godsend.
Right?
Thank goodness he got back into the rotation and is being appreciated for the all-around player he is. And I saw this earlier. Did you guys see these numbers where he shot the best of any wing, I think, in January or something like that?
I haven't seen the latest numbers. Can you fax me those?
Send me the numbers, dude. They should have been on my desk hours ago.
You got to fax those to me, dude.
Well, probably if you're going to drive somewhere to pay rent.
I'm finding out about the numbers mid-pod.
I'll try to find him here during the show, but he has been incredible. He's been so efficient and had 17 points against Washington and looked great.
What was he? 72% from the floor
in January or something, from 3 or something like that. It's absolutely insane. And
yeah, I got it.
Go ahead.
Amir Coffey is averaging 1.48 points per shot attempt this season. That ranks first for all wings in the NBA. He's shooting 85% at the rim, 65% in the mid-range, 44% from 3. Amir has an and 1 percentage of 38.5%. That's 11th of all wings. So the efficiency is just off the charts. It's not just January. All wings. He's at 1.48 points per shot attempt this season. Now, he doesn't take nearly as many as, most of those guys that are going to be in that conversation. But still, it's impressive.
He takes enough that it's a huge help to the Clippers' holistic championship expectations.
Yeah, and I mean, don't kid yourself. I mean, this is a guy who could have an impactful playoffs run.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy who, when things aren't going right, can turn things around, and he's, you know, solid on both ends of the floor. The way he's improved as a scorer this season, like, I mean, I think all of us have always had kind of high hopes for Coffee, as, you know, he's been around the team so long, but I didn't really know that it would be like this, like, especially this quickly, how fast he's had to step up, and where this, you know, where this team is headed and the expectations. And I think he's surpassed every single one. So, yeah, man, can't say enough good things about Coffee.
So start him against the Pistons. Let's get him some more run, keep this momentum going. And also, Isaiah Stewart's out for the Pistons. I don't know what they do with their lineups over there. Pistons Twitter, they're doing okay, but like they don't know what's happening with the lineups. So I don't know, man. Let's have another Amir game. Like, let's not get crazy with this one. We don't need to overthink this. Let's just sit PG.
Yeah.
And let's play good defense.
And let's hope we can get Kawhi another fourth quarter break.
100%. Do we expect to see Brandon Boston Jr. got time over Bones in the Wizards game?
Are we reading the tea leaves on this?
So is this something? Is this nothing? It's absolutely something, but a lot of people on Twitter were like, oh, they're showing off Brandon Boston Jr.'s trade value. And I'm like, that is the complete opposite of how I took this.
Yeah, me too.
This is a very line in the sand that Bones Highland doesn't seem to be in the future plans for the Clippers.
Well, he got in when they went super small. And if they had Bones Highland out there instead of him, they would have been Ant-Man. It would have been nothing.
That lineup was insane.
But it was a +2.
Yeah.
By my gauge, they went +2 during that stretch. It worked. And Brandon Boston had a really good game, his best game of the season. I said on the last show that, yeah, I have concerns at this point, you know, whether or not Bones is going to be on the team after the trade deadline, just because he can't crack the rotation unless it's garbage time right now. But it's something we knew. If anyone was going to take the biggest hit, bringing in James Harden, it was likely going to be Bones Highland. And then especially after the fact with Norm being on this crazy efficient season himself this year with the Clippers. So he's not giving up any minutes. And it doesn't look like he's
Norm's
going to be
availability.
moved.
Like,
true.
I mean, that's been a great story for Norm too, because it's been, you know, he hasn't been available that often in his tenure for the Clippers.
Can I ask you guys a trade question related to these guys too a little bit, and just the trade deadline that people have been hitting me up with on Twitter?
Yeah,
I mean, we're only a week away.
Yeah, I don't like it. Now, there were no specifics. It was just in general. They're saying that, you know, Amir Coffey looks this good. Has Terrence Mann become a trade chip now? Because he can fill a lot of what Amir Coffey can fill a lot of what Terrence Mann does. That's what people are telling me.
My ass, Terrence Mann is a trade chip. He's our start. He's in the starting. We're not going to do a starting lineup change. What if we
wouldn't give him up for James Harden, like what's the trade?
I don't know who that guy would be. Again, they didn't give any specifics, but to get that other wing, to get that 4-5 guy that everybody thinks the Clippers, if there's one thing they're missing, it's that. I don't know, because
Terrence doesn't make that much money is the other thing. Like, salary wise, you're gonna have to get something else going there.
There was something said.
You can do a weird, like, there could be a weird deal out there for a 20 mil guy.
Wasn't it right at the beginning of the season somebody asked about contract negotiations, and he said, like, no, that's dead. That's dead right now, or something to that effect?
I think so.
So, like, there's not nothing there. I'm not going to say it's crazy.
They're just playing
to think about. Well. I know. I don't want to see it happen. I love Terrence Mann. Yeah. You know that.
And I love Amir Coffey too, but I don't necessarily think that he's going to play like this the rest of the season. Like he's played great. We know that, but again, we haven't seen him in a bigger role. I'm assuming if we ship Terrence out, Amir would get more minutes. Like,
are we forgetting about Terrence Mann's playoff experience too?
Yeah.
Are we forgetting about the last time this team had a deep playoffs run?
Pissed off, dude.
Like, I don't understand what we're doing here. Like, I mean, if we weren't giving up Terrence for James Harden, what player are we giving him up for? And even still, you got to get another contract in there. You got to get Norm in there and PJ. I mean, to get somebody like of a higher caliber level, I don't think you're flipping Terrence and PJ for someone in like the 24 range. Like, I just don't see it.
And it's a new guy. We got a new guy to work into the lineup.
He probably hasn't even gotten faxed the numbers.
Fuck.
If the idea is to trade him for a bigger guy or wing that can play some 5, small ball 5, plus play the 4,
I don't think we need
You're
that.
losing a wing with Terrence Mann and a guy who can guard 1 through 4 and sometimes a center. So it may be a lateral move at best. I'm not saying I agree with it, but a few people have brought this up to me on X.
On X. Well, that app's going to hell. This is the worst thing I've seen on Twitter. I've heard of on Twitter.
Terrence Mann was right. It just shit on there.
He's not wrong, man. All right. So then the Clippers after the Pistons game, which say what you think is going to happen on 3, win or loss, 1, 2, 3, win. Right. Great.
Did you say tie?
I would. Lou coaching masterclass. That's all.
I'd be okay with a tie because I'd be like, whatever. It's in like the 12th overtime. They have to call it. We play the Heat. Then this is where the size issue gets put on display for the Clippers. We were just talking maybe Terrence Mann getting traded for a larger size. The Heat are a big ass team. Adam, what are you looking for from the Clippers defensively in this one? Because they can't start like they did against the Wizards.
I need more from Mason Plumlee and Daniel Tice. They weren't great against the Wizards. Plumlee put up, I thought in the third quarter, he was really good. He had a couple of offensive rebounds, but I think part of the reason they started to go small in that second quarter, and it did work, is because neither of them looked great early on. And we've seen that a few different times against the Cavaliers, against the Lakers too. Nobody can replace Big Zoo. That's how it works. He's that vital to this team. I think he's the 4th most important player on this Clippers squad at worst. So I think both of them are going to have to be better, obviously, against Bam. I think they will be. They're doing their part. They're
trying. They're putting some good effort in there.
I'm not going to act like they aren't carrying their weight or something like that. For what has been asked of them this season, they have certainly overperformed, especially Daniel Tice. We haven't seen much Mason Plumlee yet. And he is a guy just coming back from injury. So maybe reps, timing, rhythm, it's still going to get better for him. But we saw the Clippers being able to take down the Miami Heat 121-104 at Crypto, and they played really well in that ball game. Paul George was available. They had their normal starting 5 with 2-1-3 Zubac, James Harden, and Terrence Mann.
Did Miami have the full squad in that game?
They did not have Jimmy Butler. Did not go in that.
That's what it was.
It was Jaime Jaquez Jr. He had 15. Bam had 21. That was the game where Kawhi dunked on Bam, went baseline on him, and he had a 1-on-1 in the corner. So the Clippers have had success against them, but how much can you extrapolate from that one game when they don't have Jimmy Butler and now they have scary Terry Rozier too?
Yeah. And they've been not playing well. I look at they have lost a lot of games they've lost.
They got smacked by the Suns. 7. They got super smacked by the Knicks.
They lost 7 of 8.
They lost by 33 to the Celtics.
Damn. Couldn't be us.
They're going to be desperate. Really desperate.
They're going to be desperate. They don't score a lot. They're the 3rd lowest scoring team in the league. But they do try and kind of hang their hat on defense. This is going to be a gross game, I think. The Heat are going to try and make it gross for the Clippers. And I hope that PG, I hope he plays on this one, if he takes off the Detroit game.
Miami's 29th in pace. Clippers are 25th, so they're going to look like speed demons compared to Miami.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. TBD on what the point of attack defense looks like to start this one. Hope Paul George starts hot early if he gets his time. And then if he plays in this first one, I'm not sure how I'd feel about him playing against the Hawks too, because it is a back-to-back. And the Hawks, we're getting them at the end of a 3-4, which is kind of nice for the Clippers. So the Hawks will be a little bit tired. They get a bunch of offensive rebounds, which worries me a little bit considering but they also miss
They play 0 defense though.
Yeah, they do not play any defense.
If we set the pressure early, I mean, they're a high scoring team, but I mean, it's a game of possessions. You're going to be able to get most of what you want on the offensive end. It's just about it's just about you controlling the pace against the Hawks, and the Clippers, I feel like, have gotten really good at sort of at managing that. I think they throw teams off of their rhythm. I thought that they did that really effectively against Boston. But yeah, like I don't know. Again, I don't want to pencil in a win or anything, but like they don't play any defense over there in Atlanta. So unless the Clippers have like a terrible shooting night combined with, slow legs on the second night of a back-to-back, I would hope that they go 2-0 on that back-to-back.
I like that. I like the optimism. Yeah,
and they've historically played pretty well on the second night of back-to-backs.
Yeah, this season. Trae Young got snubbed for the All-Stars, which is something that worries me a little bit. He might be on a bit of a chip on his shoulder situation, but things are also like tumultuous in Atlanta. It feels like no one's happy.
DeJounte Murray could be traded. There could be other moves.
Yeah, like it's kind of weird, and I wonder how that affects DeJounte, because he has killed the Clippers before. When he was on the Spurs, he had a couple games against the Clippers where it was just like, oh shit, okay, we cannot stop DeJounte Murray today.
Yeah, one game at home, that was phenomenal.
Yeah, so I like the idea of controlling the pace.
Will's right. I mean, they're 27th defensively, I believe. They're
look at the scores in their games. It's like 140 to 138. Like it's insane. It's insanity.
I watched the Lakers game against them the other night where the Lakers lost again, but there was zero defense being played. They just wanted to roll the ball out there and say, okay, let's see who can outscore the other team. We're going to play a little bit faster. We're a little bit more connected. Outside of Clint Capella, he can block some shots when he's in there, and obviously is a rim runner too, but they shouldn't scare anyone. It's just the second night of a back-to-back and the 3 and 4 that scares you. It's just, a little bit of fatigue that may come into play for the Clippers.
Yeah, that's a good call. What are you thinking record-wise? If they go 2-1, they get to the 5-2 record that Will and I picked. The team went for 6-1. I think Adam went for 1-6, which I thought was really, really pessimistic.
4-3, but it's not looking good for me, boys. I'll be happy to be wrong about this one.
I think 2-1 over this stretch. I'm completely happy with 2-1 over this stretch. I think we all know which game we maybe would prefer to lose if we have to lose one of these three.
To the Pistons.
I mean, I guess. I can't imagine what they'd do to the Heat if they lost to the Pistons. Yeah, I'm feeling 2-1.
I agree. 2-1 sounds reasonable. And then you get your 5-2 road trip, and we'll see where the chips land afterwards. They might be in the top 3 seed like they are right now, coming out of this Grammy road trip, which would be very successful, I would say, overall.
Also, when are the damn Grammys? Why is this trip so long? Will and I were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, I don't get what's a lot of prep time?
Will, you're saying 2-1 or you're saying 3-0?
3-0. Let's go for it.
Ooh.
Who's your player of these? Who's your player of these 3 games?
Kawhi Leonard.
One player for 3 games?
Yep.
And you can't pick Kawhi?
No, he picked Kawhi. You can't pick Kawhi.
No, you can't.
You and I can't pick Kawhi. Yeah, setting precedence so you get the guy that you want. No one can pick, don't pick Paul George or something like that. Just say Paul George.
All right. I'm going to go then with Norman Powell.
Oh, love it.
I like that. Man.
I'm ready for some big games for James.
You want James Harden? I mean, he played played great against the Wizards.
Yeah, but I mean, I want him to go on a
Always
stretch.
want more, dude. Always raising the standards of the Clippers. That's championship stuff.
You want me to lower him?
No, I don't.
Up by 20. Get the F out of here. It should have been 40.
Yeah. I bet them minus 39.5, dude. I'm screwed here.
Bums.
I'm gonna go Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann is gonna show people why he shouldn't be even considered in any kind of trade talks. We're gonna need him against the Heat with size and guarding multiple positions and things like that. We're gonna need him against the Hawks for size and guarding multiple positions and stuff like that. His cutting has been great. Nikias on the dunker spot was talking about how good Terrence Mann's cutting can be when Kawhi gets double teamed and things like that. So I think I want to see some more good cuts from him. I think the Kawhi pick is going to go hand in hand with Terrence Mann probably also being player of the game for 3 games in a row.
Yeah, but I got the king of the 4th, boys.
That's very true. That is very true.
When the game really matters.
Yeah. Hopefully that's not the case in Detroit. Coming up, we're going to be talking a bunch of random stuff happened on NBA Twitter, including something from Dave Pingalore, who is a Clippers sideline reporter sometimes on things on KTLA, and avid, always right when it comes to LA sports rumors guy. And then we're going to talk the 65 game rule, and Patrick Patterson had something cool happen to him. Ads are coming up for those of you who are listening. They've been loud for some people. If that's been the case for you, go ahead and turn it down. We got ads coming up in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back in. It's Clips and Dip. I'm Adam Oslin. We got Chuck Mockler and Will Updike here. It's season 2, episode 48. Appreciate all the new listeners and subscribers. We love you guys. We really do. And that's why we talk to you in the comment section, sometimes too on YouTube. But this, we got to comment on this. I didn't see this. I didn't know about this. I'm aware of it because of the rundown. Chuck, LeBron may get traded, and this story is being broke by David Pingalore of KTLA 5.
Yes. So David Pingalore, for those of you who are not in the know, wink, wink, if you guys remember that classic Twitter situation. Dave Pingalore is a reporter for KTLA. He's been sourced on a bunch of things that have happened in the NBA, specifically with California teams. He called Kawhi coming to the Clippers. He talked about his sources when LeBron was going to go to the Lakers, and like it's kind of insane. He tweeted just out of nowhere, hearing from NBA peeps, King James is the top of the Lakers list to trade the 39-year-old. Pelinka is looking for the right team to dance with and is close to a suitor. LBJ and AD both out tonight. And everyone was kind of like laughing at this guy and things like that. But then you find his old tweets, and in 2018, he tweets things, like that LeBron's going to pay the Lakers back, putting him in position to join the team. Like, he's just been right about a bunch of stuff people found. So are you anticipating a Terrence Mann involved trade for LeBron James to the LA Clippers? Let's open the floor for discussion.
I'm not giving up Terrence Mann for a 39-year-old.
I don't think this happens. There's no way I think that this happens.
Terrence Mann for LeBron? Yeah.
LeBron, of course. LeBron getting traded. There's no way that happens.
The only way I could see it happening was, well, how did you interpret his little cryptic tweet with the hourglass and the salt? Time's running out on the season.
I got so much other shit going on.
I got a lot, man.
Well, the only way I could see it happening, based upon how the Lakers have handled themselves with Jeannie Buss now, they always preach we're going to take care of our superstars, and that is part of the allure of being a Laker. We take care of you on the back end. Kobe had torn his Achilles. They still give him that huge contract afterwards. Yeah. They're going to make sure that you feel like you're a Laker for life and all these things. For them to trade a player who might be the greatest player of all time, to trade that guy, the chutzpah it would take to do that, unless he agreed to it and was all for it, and mutual agreement from all parties involved, and it's the best for everyone right now. But even that seems very unlikely.
It seems
very
crazy. Yeah, I don't see this happening.
Jeff Van Gundy said, like on ABC a couple of years ago, I remember, I think this was LeBron's second year, so right before the bubble and them going on to win the bubble championship in Orlando. He said they should have traded him then, I think. He had some hot take during a game on ABC. I think they should trade LeBron. So he's not the first guy to say something like this, but do you have the stones? Like, what's the line in How Do You Shoot the Devil in the Back from Usual Suspects? Not that LeBron is the devil or anything like that, but just come on. Like, this would be such a big move. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and financially, like, what draw do you have at that point to Lakers games that you're like, you're already paying a premium for? I just don't see it.
And the team that would be trading for him might have to have enough draft picks to say, hey, we're going to get Bronny, and that's why you want to be here. But the only team that could have that assurance would be the OKC Thunder. The only team that could say, if we want Bronny, we can somehow get Bronny.
The Jazz?
even if LeBron was like, okay,
It'd be fun, I
you're
guess.
getting draft picks and young players, I'm doing the Lakers a solid while you guys, the quid pro quo, you're helping me out too, late in my career to still have a chance to win a ring. But I mean, we've just never seen anything like that before with the Lakers, where they're sending out a guy so he has a chance to go win somewhere else.
That'd be trippy.
That'd be unprecedented.
Yeah, that'd be nuts.
They're supposed to be the team that brings in that guy. That's the
Right.
franchise, the destination. Like everybody else is a farm system for the Lakers or something.
Adam's getting worked up. Adam's taking the gun out. Let's talk the 65 game rule. We were just talking Kawhi, how he's played in a bunch of games, which has been good. A lot of people are saying for the MVP award, it makes sense. I think I'm kind of on their side. I think like every MVP has played over the percentage that 65 of 72 is.
Except for Embiid last year, I think, because it's you can miss 20% of the season essentially. And
yeah,
like when I first was thinking about it, like 65 games, I was like, oh, that seems like kind of a lot. But when you think of it in terms of a percentage, like you can miss 20% of the season.
And it's for MVP. Like,
yeah,
I think,
mean, if you're only playing 75% of the season, are you the most valuable player? Like, can you be the most valuable player? I don't know.
Where it gets messy is the all NBA stuff. That's what some guys have been talking about. Is with the all, like Tyrese Halliburton mentioned it, like it maybe rushed him back for all NBA stuff because that's tied to your contract so much. For
and
guys
that game,
at that level.
that game that he sustained an injury in, he technically played for less than 20 minutes, so it doesn't count as one of his games. He's going to miss out on a bunch of money because of this rule. But the thing is, though, I mean,
they negotiated this.
That's what
players' union did agree to this,
which is nuts.
I don't think every player was asked individually in the NBA of how they felt about it, but yeah, they have representatives.
I mean, they voted.
Yeah, I mean, got to read your union stuff. It is interesting to see, however.
I like the idea of the NBA dangling a carrot to make sure guys play more. But when dudes are legitimately injured, like we just saw with Joel Embiid, as mentioned earlier, and then he plays through it, and it sounds like it's unrelated to what he was dealing with maybe. But still, if he's not out there, that doesn't happen. It's just unfortunate. And I would like to believe that the voters could just have the context to say, oh, this guy has missed this many games, so I'm not going to vote for him, instead of the NBA having to step in and saying, no, they're ineligible. That would be nice. But from what we've gone over with the media being influenced when it comes to Kawhi Leonard, maybe they do need a little more direction and prodding of who they should be voting for. I don't know.
They need a ballot that just has Kawhi Leonard 5 times on it for the MVP.
He's been that good.
It is funny to see all of these large media outlets talking about how they are on the side of the athletes who need the rest. Now they're on the side of it, not when other
it
players
is funny how we come full circle.
Full circle. Interesting. Hope they're all doing well. It's annoying.
That's rough as a Clippers fan to see that all of a sudden.
That's what frustrates me the most about. I'm just like, great, okay, just shit.
Now we all agree.
Yeah, now we're all on board. It's like a torn ACL. All right, closing this one out. Very important news. Patrick Patterson, former Clipper great, former member of the Best Friends Club, which was Reggie Jackson, Patrick Patterson, and Paul George on the Clippers, got his jersey retired by his high school recently. Pretty sick. Which had me wondering what Adam, Will, myself, Adam, if they had to retire your jersey at your high school, what would your jersey have been retired for? Patrick Patterson's obviously for basketball. What would yours have been? What would you have been retired for? Wood shop?
No, for being a good Christian at the youth group.
Hey, that's probably the toughest one to get.
Way up in the rafters, if you know what I mean.
It is. I want that thing touched, and you can just tape it to the ceiling. If that's
it's on the cross. It's over the cross.
Dude, that's the hardest one to get, bro. That seems like, Will, what are they retiring your jersey for? Cole Strip High School.
I don't know, being late.
That's fair. Hellgate High School would have given me probably being early. I needed that parking spot.
Time casual has spoken.
Yeah. All right. That's a good time. This was a great time. The Clippers are playing so well. What a fun time to talk about how great they are. Will and Adam, you're going to have a pod this weekend for the people. I am unavoidably detained. I apologize. Clippers are back home on Wednesday. We all can't wait for that. Please review and subscribe. Will, where can people review and subscribe to us?
So you can review the show over on iTunes, which isn't iTunes, it's Apple Podcasts. I'm sorry, or Spotify.
Dude, for some numbers, now this we're falling apart.
But you can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts: Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Music. But to get the full experience, you got to check us out over on YouTube. That's youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast. We bring you all sorts of fun stuff. Sometimes we're live. You can chop it up with us. And you can interact with us anytime over on Twitter. That's @ClippersPod.
Thank you so much for listening and subscribing. We always do this. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. Adam, one positive thing to send the Clippers fans out on this gloomy Los Angeles noiry night.
The Clippers are so damn talented that even without Paul George, all they needed to do was play one good quarter and they could get up by 29 points against the Washington Wizards. So even if they start off slow against Detroit, do not lose faith. This team has the ability to flip a switch. We've seen it many times this season. But yeah, it would be nice to see 4 quarters put together of good basketball on Friday.
And we need to save money on that give no quarter scenario. So come on, Clips, help us out. Also, drop in the comments a charity we should donate that to, preferably something local, I guess, in LA. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, let's go Clips.